explained all of that and how you work, do you think there's actually anything you could be doing better as an agency?
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots that we could be doing better, to be honest. I mean, we started things up with that founding principle, and that's still very much what our ethos is, treat people well, pay them what they're worth, try your best to find them interesting work to do. It doesn't always pan out that way, I guess, but that still very much guides what we do, and we're always interested in how we can improve our offer to the freelancers that we're working with. Now, we do also have some employees now as well, and so there's we're looking at from a what can we do for our employees, what can we do from our freelancers perspective. Ultimately, they're all people, and they should all be treated the same way from an ethical perspective, if maybe treated differently from a legal or employment law perspective. But I mentioned that we've started to find more organisations, more agencies that have similar models to our own, and coincidentally, I guess, maybe not so coincidentally, they also have a similar ethos. So we're either wholly or partly reliant on freelance talent. Lots of people, regardless of whether they're employed or freelancers, can be treated pretty badly. Freelancers seem to get a particularly raw deal, or more frequently are on the rough end of things. And we as a group want to change that. So we kind of got together and thought, well, if we're all trying to do this independently, is there any value in us kind of all getting together and trying to do something en masse? If we wanted to scale this up, if we wanted to make it into a thing, what would it look like? How would it appeal to freelance talent? How would it appeal to clients? Could we get other agencies involved? And then obviously you start to think, well, freelancers aren't just in agency land. Freelancers could be doing anything on a freelance basis, how big could this get? So we have started, there's another agency that's in this sort of founding group of 4 or 5 now, called Paper Studio, based up in Sheffield. And they'd run an event with Manchester Digital, where they'd been asking questions around, if us as agencies, you as freelancers, and the clients that are ultimately paying us all to do the work, were to agree a sort of common set of values, what would they look like? What would that be? And so we're looking for opportunities to engage with freelancers and ask them that question. So there's going to be some more events that are going to be happening where we're talking to freelancers, asking those questions, gathering that data, and then we can start to think about, right, okay, what is this thing that we're trying to do, named TBC, sort of making the world a better place to freelance. What is that offer? What is that proposition?
Thank you, Ross. It was really good to hear about Braveband and the structure, which I'm actually a part of, which is great. So,
I mean, it's all well and good me sitting here and telling you what we're doing, or sitting here and sharing what it is that we're doing. But I think, as someone who has worked with us before, who is working with us currently, it'd be good if you could share a little bit about your experience of, how you found us, what the experience of working with us has been like.
Yeah, sure. I found you because I knew you guys already, and Julie approached me in February of 2020, I think, and both of you needed some help with social media, and it was just something that you'd never really put a lot of time into. So then I was lucky enough to join the team. And yeah, I found it a really positive experience, not just working with you guys, but also just working in a structure like this was very different for me. I've worked in various types of agencies, but the fluidity at which you can join projects or pick up other projects or clients is something that's unmatched by anyone else I've worked with. There's usually a lot of gatekeeping with freelancers and who they're introduced to as agencies or who they can work with on the side. So, I've never experienced anything like this in a sort of agency format. You were a lot smaller, I guess, when I started. You definitely become more of a agency format, I think, since I started. But yeah, you've always been really supportive, even if you connect me with something that's non-Braveband. The willingness to just say, hey, we've heard this thing's happening. Do you want to work on it, or do you want me to introduce you to this person? I've paid you a lot of double deckers in the past. I owe you a lot of double deckers, I'm sure, your payment for connections. But yeah, I've worked with many people as a result of working with you. either directly via Braveband, as you know, as a social media service for one of your clients, or as something completely separate. The workshops that we did for Heart of the City last year actually were a good example of that, which then led to other workshops in similar formats for different organisations. But it opened me up to, and all of the other freelancers that ran those sessions, it opened me up to a whole network of people I wouldn't have had access to very easily anyway. You know, it takes a lot of LinkedIn marketing for an individual freelancer to get themselves out there and pick, you know, get in front of people that haven't seen them before. So that was a really good example of how working with you has opened up a lot of doors. So yeah, I've found the whole experience to be absolutely great. I love working with you. It's almost 2 years later, and it's great. I think it's a really great structure.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean the network thing is absolutely key. You know, we are completely reliant on our network, so it would be, well, it just wouldn't sit right if we were to limit people's access to making their own network bigger. So, you know, projects might come in, and then so our client might need several things doing. You know, can you design this? Can you build that? Can you write me this? Can you draw me these pictures? And, you know, can you then do some social media strategy and write some content and give us a plan, and please get more and more people engaging with it. And that's the kind of thing that we get involved with. You know, we coordinate all of those different bits. If someone comes along and says, look, I'm really struggling with social media, or I need to do better at my LinkedIn, or I need to do better at my Instagram, or I'm having a nightmare with my current social media person or agency, can you help us out? Then it makes perfect sense that we say, well, yeah, Jen does all of that sort of stuff for us. So there's Jen. Cross my palm with a double decker and everyone wins.